Hello, everybody. Welcome to the SoulFull Session Live on Sunday. I am just thrilled. We're going to wait a couple minutes just for everyone to join us, but I hope you're feeling a reverberation and a ripple of presence in your beautiful self today. And if not, by the time we get to the end of this, you will. I saw a little heart. Todd, was that you?
No, it wasn't
Hey,
me.
there's someone in the background hearting. I'm not seeing the viewers. Can you see the viewers, Todd? Just so you can check.
I could
There's
just see.
Trish. There's Trish. That's who we're seeing.
There we go.
Hi, Trish. Good morning, honey. Hello. Welcome to a moment of presence. Oh, I'm just thrilled. So, my name's Jennifer Maki, and you're at the Soulful Way if you're new joining us. Hi, Patricia. I think, Patricia, you're new. Welcome, welcome. There were lots of new subscribers to the Soulful Way this week, and not everybody has a different way of kind of flowing. Oh, Gail's joining too. Hi, Gail. Lovey. Good to see you, Lovey. So good to have you here. Good morning. So everybody has a different way of interacting with this, with Substack. Some are just silent readers and like to show up in the background, and that's beautiful. We're really about building community for those that want it. And so there have been a lot of new subscribers at the Soulful Way this week. I've been sending out direct messages. If you're familiar with the chat, that's wonderful. If you're not, when you go onto Substack, you can see a little bubble or a little square, like one of those speech bubbles from way back. Buenos dias, Greta. Lovely to see you, honey. Welcome. So the chat is where I will reach out to you personally. I really do try. I know everybody's lives are really busy, and you never any pressure to show up to be here, but we always want to create touch points for these values that we're holding. So for those of you that are new, this is the Soulful Way, and these are SoulFull Sessions Live that we run 3 Sundays a month. And then the last weekend of the month, hi, Rebecca. Hi, sweetheart. She says, hi, Todd. Hello, Carla. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good afternoon for you. It's 1:30 in the East. So what we do is we pick a theme every month. My work for the last 20 plus years in corporations, agency, nonprofits has been about values action alignment. But the most personal and powerful element of that is how we apply that in our own lives. Todd comes from a Disney background, working with lots of creative souls, working with, Korhani rug manufacturing, education, business. But the foundation of our lives personally, in order to be able to create success professionally, is about how we align every moment that we're living in with our values. And so at the Soulful Way, we pick a theme every month. This month in April is presence. And then we create touch points every single week for you to tap into. The Soulful Way newsletter comes out every week. It has little tips on that theme. We have a Soulful Collective special edition that comes out where we feature other writers that are writing on the topic. So if you are one of those writers and you see our theme for the month and you feel you'd be a great fit for that, or you want to reach out and find out what the themes are for the next 6 months and you want to be involved in writing and sharing your work, please reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. We feature 3 writers a month that write articles and 3 notes that you write on that topic. And so please reach out. And then at the end of the month, we have our workshop as well too. So I'm Jennifer Maki, and this is my husband and the best part of my life, Todd Maki. So I'll let you introduce yourself, honey, and say hello.
Morning. I'm Todd. This has been already said. I'm happy everybody's here today. It's going to be a great discussion about presents, and
Yeah.
not Christmas presents. I just want to make that.
This isn't the presents you're receiving in the Christmas sense, but it's a present that you give to yourself every day by living in
It is,
presence,
yes.
right? Love, I love your humor, sweetheart. Oh, I love those hearts. Thank you, everybody. So this month, we've been talking about and noticing presence. And what I find is incredible, we are actually, I like presents, Greta said. Me too, honey. Actually, a funny little side note story about my oldest sister that she loved presents so much. She's 13 years older than I am. And Pammy, if you're on here, you're watching the recording, you'll get the giggle. My sister loved presents so much when she was a little girl. She actually got a little button that said, I love presents. Just in case anybody was wondering. Hi, Bob. Welcome, those of you that are new. Welcome to the Soulful Way and our SoulFull Sessions Live. Today, we're talking about presence. I'm Jennifer Maki, and this is Todd Maki. Thrilled that you're taking some time to be with us this morning. So, when we pick these themes every month, what I find is incredible. And Todd and I have maybe in our personal lives and our professional lives in the work that we do have been at this for a while. but we've been really concentrated on this since February. So I was doing SoulFull Sessions before February, but the theme element of this started in February. We started with values, and then we did kindness last month, and this month is presence. And what I find is amazing, and you might find it too, where attention goes, energy flows. So where attention goes, energy flows. So wherever you're focused, that's what you see in the world, and that's what you start to think about creating. And so this whole month has been about awareness. And so some really amazing, beautiful things have been coming forth in this for me, for Todd. We've had lots of discussions as a couple. We've had discussions with our kids, with our friends about what this concept of presence means. And that's what we're going to be talking to you about today. In addition to that, we tend to engage in presence and centering and opportunities for you to grab a bit of calm in an otherwise very busy world and busy life. So, we're going to start off with that right away. We like to just do a little centering exercise as we start off so that you just come into this present moment. So, I'll just invite you to set your gaze somewhere soft or close your eyes and just set everything down and just come into the present moment. And just take some deep breaths, letting go of your busy morning, your busy day, and just coming, ironically enough, right into this presence, the present that is best. Just feel your thoughts let go, breathing deep in through your nose and out through your mouth. And on your exhale, just let your thoughts float away. Just feel the calming return. Follow your breath. And feel that stillness settle in. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back with us. And hopefully feeling a little more connected to this moment that we're going to wander into together. So when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Now we can welcome. I really appreciate those times when we are given the gift of just a moment to breathe. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here in your presence, in your stillness, and your energy. We definitely feel it, whether you're here in person live or whether you're on the recording. We're just thrilled that you're taking a moment for you. So let's talk about presence. I love those little hearts. I'm giving them right back. Let's just talk about presence. So, the difference about presence in the way that we're talking about it today is that it's not just about being in the moment, it's being present to the moment. And what I mean by that is that oftentimes we think about presence as being, in the moment with a beautiful sunset, or with our breath when we're in a formal meditation, or in the midst of yoga, or flowing, with a friend. But the presence that we're talking about today has different levels. And the levels that we're talking about, that means that it's not just the beautiful elements that come into our life or how we pay attention to the precious things or how we feel a sense of appreciation or gratitude for something that's unfolding, but it's also about how we're dealing with every moment, our emotions. It's not just about the beautiful things and the curated and the easy parts. It's about the full experience. And that's what's been happening for me and for Todd as we've been talking about this subject. We explored in the newsletter this week, in the Soulful Way newsletter, 3 different ways of approaching this. And amazingly enough, you may find this in your own life. It's definitely a part of mine that I go into a place of meditation and reflection and then I just enter into a subject area like presence and I see what comes. And I find that that really works for me for my whole life, not only in how I handle things from a centered perspective personally, but also professionally. And when I'm coaching with clients that are running their own businesses, it really is about attuning to that voice within you that knows you the way no one else knows you, that has a lot of the solutions and answers that you're looking for. And when I attune to that, beautiful things flow. And what flowed this month was that there were different elements of presence, of the way that we approach it. And so when I was looking at the layers of awareness and attunement and relationship and how this was unfolding in my own life, and then I dove into the research of where does presence come from? Because every time we pick a theme, we like to go back and research the origin of that theme, of that value, and how it plays out in our lives and where it is, what was the beginning of it that we were aware of as human beings. And of course, presence has been around since the second that we all came into existence in this world, probably long before. But how is it that ancient traditions dealt with this? And so when I took a look back, I had no idea that in studying in my own way through the years of all different types of faiths and religions, that each one of them had a different way of approaching presence, the idea of presence. And so we're going to talk about a few things and dive in a little deeper. But the three different areas we're looking at is awareness. So that the first is that awareness of simple noticing. So just the breath and your body and what's happening right now, right? So nothing to change. We're just seeing it. The second level is that attunement. So, attunement is moving with what's unfolding, right? So, not forcing, not resisting, feeling into the rhythm of what's here. So, there's a subtle change, but it's a change. It's a different way of seeing it. And we're going to talk lots more about this. The third is about relationship. So, meeting the moment as something that's alive, that it's the connection with what's here. It's not separate from us, it's a part of us. And the presence and what's happening in the moment is unfolding and pulling us along or dragging us along or encouraging us along in that moment. So, those are the areas that we're going to kind of touch on. Welcome. I see Janine popped in, Untriggered Sapien. I love that. I love your name. Just really great. These are some, Janine's been with us for a while. Untriggered has been here. I think you're just a new subscriber. I was saying, I've reached out to the new people. I'm so glad if you can just drop in and get a feel for whether this resonates for you. I'm Jennifer Maki. This is Todd Maki, and this is the SoulFull Session Live on Presence. So the three of these elements together, awareness kind of gathers, and then attunement aligns us, and relationship connects us. This is where these values that we're talking about, they become alive for us. And really, the reason why Todd and I even decided to build this, to create this, how much energy and love that we pour into this every single month, is because I fundamentally know from all my work in the world and in my own life of my own self work and working with coaching clients and working with communities, organizations, Todd as well, the foundation of everything starts with aligning with what we value, thinking about it, consciously considering it, reflecting upon it, writing about it, encouraging it, planning on it, and then living it every single day. And so, this idea of moving into this presence is the very foundation of everything because this is where we're living, even though we think we're living in our goals in the future. And sometimes we can feel like we're living in the past of things that ruminate in our minds. Really, the only moment we have is now. There's lots of people that focus on this topic, but what we focus on is helping you to get there every single week with little touch points. And so this is where it comes alive. This is not something that we get to. This is something that we return to. And part of this presence that we're going to talk about today is about tethering to presence, moment by moment, which seems like such a simple thing, but with all the distractions in the world, this is not always easy for us. And so today we're going to talk about what that looks like. And we're going to go through some meditations and we're going to go through some practices to help you kind of bring this to your life and to make it real and alive for you, not just in how you live your life personally, individually, in your solo way, but also how you relate to other people. And then how you build your business is how you take that forth into how you serve in the world, no matter what that is. And so, first, we're just going to take a pause for a moment. And Todd and I are just going to share a little bit about how this has played out. Because every time we pick this theme, it becomes like the momentum in our lives. And so, in the last, where we're at the 12th, so 12 days, we've been immersed in presence. So, I'm just going to turn it to you for a moment, Todd, we've had lots of conversations about this, but I know people would appreciate hearing from you your perspective of how it's been with just focusing on this presence, considering it, and how it's been you've been creating it as well as experiencing it. So I'd love to hear from you, honey.
Yeah, thank you. I think that it's been an interesting time period focusing on presence, which is kind of ironic when you're trying to be present with presence. But I think that one of the things that I noticed was that once you started talking about the concept of tethering to something, it actually was a laser focus for me to be able to focus on being present. For example, I've done, so you do it, but you don't realize you're doing it. So Jen and I go in the morning and walk. We live by the Salish Sea, the Georgia Straits, and there's a pier here, which is the longest pier in Canada, by the way. Yeah, you can tell. You get a plug for that.
We're plugging White Rock for that. They're Dave and Gail Chesney.
Yeah. Um, so we go out and walk on the pier at like 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning when the sun's just coming up, and it's not that there aren't distractions, because there's always distractions, but it's very calm. And so as we walk, it takes about 20 minutes to walk the pier, at a good clip. So we walk and we're looking around, and there's distractions, and there's pictures to be taken, and there's people to talk to. And for me, when I'm trying to get to the presence with the moment, I look out and I look and I find, there's a seal that lives around there, but he's very cautious. He's not around a lot. And they just kind of pops his head up in the ocean and looks around and then goes back down again. But 9 times out of 10, I can go and I can find the seal sort of puttering around in the water between the birds. And for me, then once I find that, it's like there's my tethering moment, and I just there's like an exhale. I go, oh, there he is, and then you become present in the moment of the experience of the smell of the sea and the breeze in your face and the sun coming up. And for me, that's how I find presence. But then I do that in other ways too. So there's always something to tether to. So the other, we didn't talk about this, Jen, but when I golf, golf is a frustrating game that is for crazy people. But basically, what you do is you got to hit the ball straight every time. And so when you line up to hit, there's people that teach you how to golf, and they say keep your hands this way, there's your shoulders, your legs, your knees. There's about 30 things that you got to do for golfing. But what I find most successful, and when the first time I broke 100, which is a fairly good, big, significant thing, I focused on hitting the club face on the ball. And before that, there's a tether moment where I would visualize Jen's face. So I would stand there, take a breath, exhale, visualize Jen's face, and then swing. And then the game became much easier. It became an easy game. So you're tethering to a moment to be present with.
I thought you were tethering to me in order to aim the ball at me.
No, I wasn't.
I'm
I
just
wasn't
kidding.
visualizing your face on the ball. No, no. I was visualizing.
Because sometimes they say visualize someone's face on the ball. Oh, I'm picturing a few more moments. I love you. That's beautiful, honey. I never knew that. That's aw, that's lovely. I love that. Okay, go on. I didn't mean to
Oh,
interrupt.
oh, that's the end of my story. I'm present in the moment. And I'm letting it go.
Yeah. You're so cute. It's funny. Todd and I hiked to the top of a mountain at one time, and Todd said, he got a little bit nervous about the fact we were hiking to the top of a mountain. It's a famous story that our family knows and friends of ours. And so Todd, I didn't know when we first met that he was kind of a little bit nervous, afraid of heights, and never said a word. So we're hiking to the top of this mountain, and we're hiking up the side of the mountain, and I said, he actually said, keep going. I went to stop to look at the view and be in the present moment. And he said, keep moving. And you're never gruff, ever. And so we got to the top of the mountain. I turned around, I looked at Todd and I said, oh my gosh, like, are you okay, honey? Like, what was that about? And he said, you know what? I'm nervous with the heights, and it's on that narrow ledge and there's a big drop. And he goes, I'm not afraid to fall. I'm just afraid I'm going to push you.
Not in an aggressive way, but I'm going to fall against you off the mountain.
And so I just look at him and go, you're afraid you're going to push me? Like, is there something I need to know here?
Sounds,
So,
sounds like a bad
again,
movie of the week.
we're kind of off topic, but it is about being in that. This is the presence. I wanted to just flow with that story because it made me think of it when you thought about the ball. It is so. Hi, Minerva. I see Minerva's here today, too. I just welcome those of you that are just joining us to just a conversation about presence. So, thank you for that. I never knew that, honey. And we do have that tethering that happens. So for me this week, it's actually been a big dive in. And because my brain works about kind of organizing information into pockets, because I've been facilitating, talking, and speaking for quite a number of years in my life. So it kind of organizes itself as I meditate or I'm focusing and moving through my week. So as I was talking about these ancient traditions, kind of came this three levels, this awareness being aware of it, then attuning, and then in relationship. And so it kind of played out as we're at the pier. One of the things I love about you, Todd, is I did a video shoot of Todd at one point. It was like a reel of different photos because you are like a little kid on that pier. And I love that you live that presence so naturally in your life. Because if you want to find Todd on the pier and you look around and he's suddenly not walking beside you, he's at the side, his little head peering over into the looking for crabs because there's always a crab scuttling along underneath the pier. And so whenever you want to find Todd, if he's wandered off, he's got his head over the pier, he's looking down and he's searching for the seal or whatever. And it is a beautiful lesson in presence, but it's how we bring it into all of our lives, like into all of our life. So whether that's in relationship or whether it's in the thoughts that we're having. So I found through my week that we're going to talk much more about that I was organizing into these pockets. I was seeing things in a different way and drawing in my experience to them into the present moment. And how is that affecting my life as I'm living it and into the week? And how is my energy shift? Are my ideas clear? Are my thoughts clear? When I'm struggling with something in the present moment, is it serving me? So there were lots of deep levels that I kind of went into and pulling this out. I wanted to stop and read some comments because I love the comments. We always love to read them. That's so great. So Paul joined. Welcome, Paul. That's so great. I think this is the first time you joined us. Welcome, welcome. Rebecca, thank you, Todd, for sharing your experience with presence with the seal and also the golf. That visualization technique is powerful. Athletes use this. And that's so lovely picturing you Jennifer's way while playing golf. Thank you. You're so cute. Yeah, it is. It's true. Athletes all oftentimes have that anchor point. Todd, maybe talk a little bit about, and I know we're flowing in the present moment, but you were talking about how you get to that present moment. So when you're in the present moment, you deliver from a much more authentic place. And you were talking about that this morning as we were chatting. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, about how coming into the present moment affects the outcome of whatever you're working on?
Oh yeah, so there's a couple things we talked about. I'm not sure
Yeah.
specifically which one, but I know the one for when I'm working. If I'm off the computer and I have something to work on that is text based or numbers based,
Yeah.
you'll sit there and sometimes you're just not in the mood to actually do that thing. So what I
Yeah.
typically do is I put on some music, and it's very specific type of music that I tether to. So
Yeah.
it's like Miles Davis because it's unexpected and but it keeps my interest, but it relaxes me at the same time. And I listen to a lot of Scott Joplin, the old ragtime
Yeah.
pianist. And so those types of instrumental music, as soon as you put words on it, I'm lost. I can't
Yeah.
concentrate. And if it's too mundane, which I find a lot of classical music, quite frankly, to be too repetitive, then it loses that it
Yeah.
distracts me too. So it's
Mm.
a certain type of music that actually tethers me to an experience, and then once I get there, then I can feel my body relax, and then I can work for a long time. And I'm
Mhm.
you are multitasking, and then you're listening to the music, but you're also focusing on what you're thinking about. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And isn't it that brings a really interesting point to the surface because I love classical music. That's what I studied to when I was in university. That's what I work to. Piano music really. So isn't it? It shows you the individuality of whatever draws you into presence, not just being present in the moment, but setting the tone for presence in our lives is different for every person. And that's why, we talk lots about this at the Soulful Way about really listening to that wild wisdom within you. I wrote a book about a year ago called Just One Soulful Thing. A number of you on here have read that. And it's about a simple adventure in reclaiming your wild wisdom. And the reason I really feel like maybe my work in the world for a number of years, even when it wasn't as popular to do so, was about instead of looking to other people as experts, well, there are lots of resources that we can glean from. We really want to make our stop the last stop, the one within, that we look within and we find out what speaks to us, what brings me into the present moment, what draws me into this experience or tethers me back to what's real in this moment. And so we have to ask ourselves and spend time in meditation or reflection in whatever way speaks to you that brings you to that understanding and that deeper knowing so that you can guide you because no one knows you like you know you. So, along those lines, I want to dive a little bit more into the ancient practices that I was discussing, and how I've studied world religions my whole life informally. My background's in psychology. I did a degree in psychology and a degree in public relations and communications, but I've always been fascinated with world religion. It was part of my university experience as well. I love that we live in a world, for the most part, at least in this part of the world, of that understanding and acceptance of everyone's diverse experience, diverse culture, diverse belief. And I really love that we're in a world where we can share more of that, and particularly, the circles that I run within and the soulful people that I kind of wander with are those that really honor and accept other people's ways of thinking and believing, and that we're all rooted in love. That it doesn't matter how we get there, that there are commonalities of values that we hold, that we share, and it doesn't matter what faith system you find yourself feeling connected to, or a faith system at all. And so I really love that. I love our diverse world, and that we get to hear lots more. And that's part of the reason why we started the Soulful Way online. When we do the workshops at the end of the month in person, or, it's not in person, as person as you can get across the world, but on Zoom, I love it because we have people from the Netherlands, from Norway, from New Zealand. There's a few of you on here from Spain. We have those from India. I love that our world draws together, much more so brought about by COVID. And as sad as that time was, I was actually, my job at that time was consulting with organizations, particularly of different types of faith organization or interfaith organizations, getting everybody connected online so that people felt less lonely, more connected, and more loved during a very difficult time in our world. And so now this is a way that we can come together and just get to know people from all over the world. And so in that flow, I always go back and I look at ancient traditions of how does this concept, this value, this virtue of presence play out in different faiths. And so what I was amazed was that even though I've kind of immersed myself in different faith systems or wisdom traditions, I didn't realize that they approach presence differently. It's subtle, but it's different. And so the first is this idea of awareness. So that level one that we talked about. And that's that clear seeing of what is. And in Buddhist teachings and early Buddhist teachings, presence is just that lived awareness, a steady noticing of breath, your body, your experience as it unfolds. And so the sutta, and I picked quotes from each one. You can read more about this in the Soulful Way newsletter that went out last week. And if you need that connection, just send me a note, or you can find it on my space on Substack. So we talked about each one of these, and I picked a quote. So the quote from the sutta is, "When breathing in long, one knows I breathe in long. When breathing out long, one knows I breathe out long." Just being connected to breath. So that's one way of experiencing that beautiful sense of presence. Okay, the second one is the idea of attunement. So the living alignment with what is unfolding. So in Taoism, presence is lived as attunement, moving in rhythm in life rather than forcing or resisting, right? So I don't know those of you that study these types of faiths, but I found this fascinating because even though I've known lots about these different faiths, I didn't realize that subtlety. And so the Tao Te Ching says, the master acts without forcing and teaches without words. Things arise and are allowed to come. Things disappear and are allowed to go. And actually, when I was going through this, Todd and I were talking, because we do like a little meditative session before we move into today's live session. I was saying, when I think of this quote, I think of you, Todd, and just your easy way of just allowing what's coming up in our family, what's coming up in our business, what's coming up in relationship to just flow. And it's such a type of presence to master. And so I just want to honor you in that for a little moment, my love. So the third, cutie. So the third is about relationship. So the intimate meeting with the aliveness of the moment. Don't you love that? The aliveness of the moment. In Sufism, if you think Rumi and you think Tukaman, these beautiful these beautiful, soulful, spiritual people that were just so wildly alive with the moment, in relationship with the divine, in relationship with the moment. And if you've ever studied Rumi, he's drinking wine and he's, hanging out with his buddy, and they're talking about the divine and everything. And they're just grasping all of life in this kind of hedonistic, beautiful, soulful way. And what I loved, the quote that I picked from Rumi is actually, it has a different slant, because I see Greta saying yes, 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 yes. I'm glad it aligns with you, honey. So that idea of, with Rumi, I picked a quote that was less, he normally has such a live dancing, lover kind of quotes. But this one was a bit more real, because we need to recognize that when we are attuned and we are in alignment in a relationship with presence, it's not always easy. And it's really good to just pause and recognize that, because it's not about all happy, happy, joy, joy. It is about us being real about what we're moving through and finding the next level of connection or love or hope when we are in the midst of challenge. It's not about ignoring it and pushing it down. It's about acknowledging it and bringing it into the light, so that we can help one another, or we can move to the divine, whatever way it is that you try to deal with that. And so Rumi says, where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. And I love that. I just, even in this last week, we've had challenges that we've dealt with, as everybody does. And they're not big, catastrophic challenges, but our kids are moving through different stages of life and making life decisions. I see Carla said Eckhart Tolle is a good one too. Oh, he is. I've seen him speak live, very close, second row, and to just be in that man's presence of the power of now. Absolutely. There are so many people that talk on this subject. There can't be enough of us talking about this subject of presence and being in the now. But I do love him as well too. So wherever you find kind of your beautiful connection, absolutely. So I love the acknowledgement of this. So what I want to do next is, I want to practice with you. So what I'm going to invite you to do now is, we're going to move into each one of these faith traditions, those quotes, and I'm just going to give you some time to just be in the presence of that quote and to just see what arises for you. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of a meditation. So I just invite you to kind of get comfy and, kind of set everything aside and just ground your feet on the ground, and just, find a soft gaze or close your eyes. And I'm just going to move you through each one of these beautiful quotes to see whatever resonates, whatever comes for you in the present moment, whatever bubbles to the surface. And then I'm going to have you kind of gather those thoughts. And I would love, as Todd and I are sharing our experiences, I would love it if you would just pop those into the chat and just share, even if it's a word. But it's just about coming together in collective community. So whatever comes for you, Todd and I will share. And then if you put yours into the comments, then we'll share as a little community of whatever comes for us, because we're more when we get ideas from others. And so just rolling your shoulders back, tucking your chin, lifting up through that beautiful golden thread that runs up the back of your head, through the crown, up to the sky. Rooting through your feet into the ground, into the earth, and just breathing, allowing that breath to travel in and up and through, out the top of your head, the crown of your head, and breathing down and through and out through your fingertips and toes. Just noticing your breath in and out. When breathing in long, one knows, I breathe in long. When breathing out long, one knows, I breathe out long. I breathe in long. I breathe out long. I breathe in long. I breathe out long. The master acts without forcing and teaches without words. Things arise and are allowed to come. Things disappear and are allowed to go. Things arise and are allowed to come. Things disappear and are allowed to go. Where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Where there is ruin, there is hope for a treasure. Just take a moment of silence to just experience whatever bubbles to the surface. And when you're ready, just wiggle your toes and your fingers. Come back into this moment, and you can open your eyes. And as Todd and I share what comes for us, I just invite you, even one word into the chat or a phrase that came, so that we learn and then we just gather all of the bits. So, what came for you, Todd, just in that little breath and space of those
Um,
words?
I really like the one about the things that come and things that go, and you just
Mm,
basically let them flow through you. It's like you experience that every day when you're driving in a car. You run into some, or not run into somebody, hopefully, but you experience somebody doing something that you perceive as being silly, and then so you can focus on it, and you can yell at them, and you get out of your car, and you can punch them, or you can just go,
yeah,
"They're senior. They're just they didn't see me there, or they missed that stop sign, or whatever." These are not important things, and so I think the more you, the more I go through life, the more I try to look at the world that way, is that things are just happening around me, but they're not happening to me in most cases.
absolutely. And in many cases, are happening for us, right? Like that bringing into our awareness the conscious choice, especially when things are frustrating, in the everyday, that conscious choice of just, I have a choice to let it go.
Or
I
the
have
example of when the police pull you over and give you a ticket on the Trans Canada Highway during a snowstorm, and then you are irritated by the fact you get a speeding ticket on the Trans Canada Highway, and you drive for another 10 minutes, and there's a 20-car pileup that you avoided because the police officer pulled you over and gave you a ticket. So you never know what's happening in the world and why it's happening. So
I remember that you were coming to get me stranded in Winnipeg when that happened. And thank goodness that there are miracles happening all the time. So I love that, Todd. Just thank you for that. For me, they all spoke to me in different ways. I love that I breathe in long. That's really like I breathe in, I breathe out, just so that you just let go of all the whirling thoughts, all the ideas. I have a lot of ideas. I've been an entrepreneur for a lot of years, so I'm constantly thinking and creating. And when I wrote my book, Just One Soulful Thing, it was partially for me, and anyone that's like me, and it was certainly for our children, where it was just this, just right now. I breathe in, I breathe out, just this. I really do love that, letting things come and letting things go. That really speaks to me about, the ebbs and flows of being an entrepreneur. And you and I we're publishing about 4 books at this time for clients, and there's glitches and things that happen throughout the day, and just allowing it to come and allowing it to go, and realizing that there's always an and. There's a great quote, I have a whole board that's actually in the office where Todd is. That's our centering room as well. And there's a great quote that says, "There's always an and. Something's happening to you, and there's something negative, and there will be something beautiful. There's something beautiful, and there will be something else that will come." There's always an and. So that letting things in and letting things go, that nothing is of permanence. Yeah, neither the beauty that we experience, that's not permanent, and neither the sorrow that we experience, and that's not permanent. And then the ruin for me and the treasure in that, because there's been a couple of things that have come up with our children as they're moving through challenging times in their life, and not even challenging, but just good challenging, having to leave a job, or having to, pick another job, or how to present yourself, or how to figure out what's going to happen for university or your job next year. And so, because I'm seeing a breakdown and breakthrough, and I'm present, I'm better able to see the treasure in whatever challenge is happening. And it's really come to head, without, sharing personal details that aren't mine to share. But that experience has been so powerful for me this week, that the ruin, what we might perceive to be ruin, is actually treasure. So I want to go through and I want to read people's comments. Thank you so much for sharing. This is my favorite part. Okay, so I think it started at Carla. "As long as I'm breathing, there's hope." Absolutely. It's so important. There really is. As long as we're above ground, there's another moment that's coming. As long as we're breathing. That's really beautiful. I want to just be present with that. As long as I'm breathing, there's hope. And I hope each one of you just take these gems into your heart and carry them forth in the day. As long as I'm breathing, there's hope. Minerva, let's go. So yeah, that's great. And that's the thing. Sometimes these centering or present, these present practices and presence, say that 10 times, sometimes they're invigorating. That sometimes it's the calming and it's a finding a thread of hope, and sometimes it's about let's go, like I'm ready. I get it, I need to be present, but I'm ready for whatever's coming for me next. So I love that. Such a contrast. I love that. Let's go. So I'm taking that one with me today, sweetie. Gail, "From ruin to treasure." Yeah, I hear you, sweetheart. I feel that so deeply. um, there's been a lot going on in our world, in our community, in our world, and there's always a beauty in that, in intensity, in that craziness. Sometimes there's a center in it. There's a coming together in relationship. There's an ability to stand up for one another, to speak truth, to power, to issues, and to really speak from our souls about what matters to us, and stand up for the people that we love and believe in. And so I feel that deeply. From ruin to treasure. Also, Carla, unity through community. Oh, absolutely. This is why we're doing this. I really love in-person workshops. I love in-person talks. I love being in a room of energy. It's really been a big adjustment for me, to move into an online space like this. I've had to learn because I'm not really a person that loves to talk at. That's why, and even Todd joining me in these, because I was doing them on my own for a while, and Todd's like, we said, let's do this together. And just the energy, and I feel your energy. So the comments allow me, I've had to dig deeper into my own soul to feel the energy of who's in the space. And also, when few people show up or lots of people show up, it doesn't matter. You just become soulful in whatever presence is there, and understand too this whole world of recording, that a lot of people can't join us live, but they watch the recording. So I've had to learn that people will send me a message after and go, "I watched the recording and it really moved me." And so I've had to learn how to be able to work in this type of community, but it's just as real. Like, I haven't met half of you on here, and I really feel like I know you. Like, we've been back and forth on private messages. I feel like I know your souls. And I feel wildly grateful for that, that we don't necessarily have to share physical presence. I don't have to hold your hand, but I hold your heart and I feel your soul. And so, unity through community. I'm so glad you're here this morning, Carla. That's amazing. Greta, breathing in light and exhaling that no longer belongs. Oh, I love that, sister. I love that. We talk about the bliss bubble in some of the workshops. It's in my book. But that idea that breathing in or bringing in through your bliss bubble everything that serves and allowing anything that doesn't to bounce off. Breathing in light while exhaling all that no longer belongs. I love that. I'm definitely taking that one too, I'm sure. Other people are too. Okay, I want to. Janine, I connect within and open to receive. An aspect of presence for me is letting go of my own agenda and opening to all that is flowing with life. Super powerful. Super powerful. You know, I say it, God for me is a spiritual thing, and it takes many forms and it's of energy. But for me, it's like you want to make God laugh, you just tell him your plans, right? Or her plan. Tell her your plans. Like I love that idea. It is a, I call it the surrender adventure. And I love that. I want to read it again just so people can really get this. An aspect of presence for me, letting go of my own agenda and opening to all that is flowing with life. I'm in. I'm in. Oh, thank you, Janine. Okay, Greta. I have tears from this energy. Oh, I love that. I got to give you some hearts. I love this. I love this. Thank you so much for being here today. This is the dream. This is the dream that we come together with this touch point and set a new tone and a reset for our week in this presence. And every week, and whenever you can show up, I'd love you here. I'd love you at the workshop at the end of the month. Whoever can be there. There's no more important the work to do in the world than create a foundation of this in our lives so that we can live more of this and less of the anxiety, the clutter, the the chaos that's out in the world, and that we really center in these things that matter, and feel our tears and feel our presence and feel our connection. I have goosebumps from the inside out right now, just as I said that. That's always like a little gem that's coming from some other beautiful conscious place. Thank you for that, Greta. Immense gratitude. Thank you, love. That's lovely. Minerva. Right. LOL. I love you. Guys, this is amazing. Okay, in the honor of time, man, we can go on. I love this though.
Can I do
I
one?
find, yes,
Sorry,
please,
this wasn't planned, and I don't know if this is
please,
apropos, but
please.
I think that the moving through concept of presence about things happening to you and through you. I always think back. I took an improv class years ago, and one of the primary things in the improv class is that when someone says something to you, you never say but, you only say and. So somebody just put a chicken in your Ferrari, and if you go, but I can't drive it now, then it's dead. You can't move forward in
Wow.
the world. If you say and I need to get another chicken so I can get that one out of the car, then the other comedian or the other person can build on that. So if you're saying but all the time, you're closing yourself off. If you say and, you're moving yourself and the other people forward.
Awesome. Oh, I love that. We got to write that one down and put it on our yes board. That's really absolutely no buts, only ands.
Only and.
Chicken in the car. I love that. Okay, there was one I missed here too. Rebecca, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Jennifer and Todd, during that meditation of presence. So good to hear everyone's comments about what came to you. Mindfulness of breathing came from me because that's the first part of my meditation, counting each in breath and noticing where it's felt first in the body. Awesome. We have so much to learn from one another. This is my favorite part. Todd and I love the chatting, and we like want to get these conversations started, but it's your ideas and your thoughts. And I really want to challenge all of you to come on the last Saturday of this month, because then I get to see your faces and we get to hear your beautiful wisdom. You have so much to share. Yes, Todd, Gail said. Rebecca, Todd is dropping gems. Yes, he is.
It's
What's that?
not on purpose.
You know what, honey? You're just flowing from presence. That's always the way you are. Okay, so I know people have full Sundays, so I want to, or whatever day you're in. I think actually Janine's in already on Monday, so we need to make sure that we move this along. There were some elements of tethering that I wanted to share with you that just came up for me. So you've got your own now. You've got your own kind of flowing. I'm so glad you've learned from one another. These are just some of the ones that came from me that kind of stopped me right in my tracks. So these are tethering to presence. I'm going to share these in the week coming Soulful Way newsletter. So if you want to read more about these, we're also this next week, I'm going to focus on the idea of presence from a neurological perspective. So, neurologically, from a place of health and well being, what role does presence play in our lives? What studies are there that have been done that show us that presence really enhances our well being? And then I'm going to share these tethering practices. So, the first one was turn off to tune in. So, I really found that I love the invention of the cell phone, quite frankly, because I used to have to be tethered in my own business as an entrepreneur to my desk, which meant that I had to set aside time away from my kids. I had to go to, first of all, when I was working a job, I had to be away from my kids and someone else would have to be with them. So I didn't choose that when I had children. I wanted to build my own business. So I love the invention of the phone, but we all know we think it's the kids. There's a lot of adults that are addicted to their phones. We just don't want to admit it because if we talk about the next generation, oh, they're always on their phones all the time. I think if we actually did a study, most adults are just along those lines as well. So we need to accountability right here. So I'm on my phone and I love it because I can take everything on the go. I don't have to sit at my desk. I can be doing other things. Todd and I can go for a walk on the pier. And so on the way to the pier, I can be doing my posting or, sharing a little comment, and I love it. But I absolutely, there are times, and I just saw Greta say, look around a restaurant. Absolutely. We do not have phones in the restaurant at all. We never have. Our children never had phones growing up. We brought coloring books and little, plasticine like Play Doh. So I really do, you're right. We are too tied in. So for me, this whole week, I thought, where can I shift this? And so I would be on my phone, I'd be doing something, and I would be like, no. And I would set my phone down. I would actually say no, because no's are healthy. I would say no, and I'd set my phone down and I would absolutely turn off my phone and I would tune into whatever was around me. And the first time I did it, Todd was driving in the car and I put down the phone. I said, no, absolutely not. And I just looked out the window and I watched. We had just gone for a beautiful walk on the pier, but on the drive home, there's these lovely vistas of the tide pulling out and the sun glimmering on the water. And I just became completely present. I encourage you this week, wherever you can, turn off and tune in. My father used to say, plug in, turn on, tune in. That was like his famous little thing he used to say all the time. And he had nothing to do with a cell phone. He never owned one. But it was about, plugging into the present moment, tuning in to the frequency, right? And turning up that volume so that we are consciously making those choices. I stop now when I'm on my computer. So I love writing, and that's a beautiful presence for me. But sometimes I can sit for hours and hours without even getting up. So I'm becoming more clear about turning off, at least tuning down what's going on there. And I just turn my chair and I look straight out into our beautiful little garden area and I watch the birds for like a good 5 minutes. Or I stand up and I stretch and everything and I look outside and I become completely tuned into the energy around me. So I encourage you, whatever way you can do that, turn off to tune in. The second is that soulful connection. We've had a beautiful week, hey Todd, of just talking about that, of being present. I reach over, I put my hand on Todd's when we're driving in the car. He reaches out and touches mine if I'm driving, and we just become completely present, even energetically. When we can't look into one another's eyes, we we root into that moment. We tether into that moment. We went on a date day to Granville Island this last week. We it was like we were on our honeymoon. We made it a whole day of presence, looking into each other's eyes. We have been married for over 20 years and it's a beautiful thing, but even we can become complacent. And so it's about retuning in to that relationship. So whoever it is that needs to be connected with, do that. If you can be with them in space, that's beautiful. If not, you can be with them in space energetically and send them love. I also find now with our son, we're really, really close with our boys. But this whole week, I've been putting my hands right on his face. He used to do this thing and he would go, Mama. He said, I give you your favorite kiss. I give you your favorite kiss. And he kissed my lips. And so now he's like 18. And so what I do is put my hands on his face this whole last 10, 12 days. And I just rerouted with that. And I put my hands on his face. I give him a kiss on his cheek. And I just say, hey, buddy. And I look right in his eyes. And it's interesting in 12 days. And we're really close. It's not that we don't look at each other, but it's it's more poignant now. So as I'm heading up the stairs and I say goodnight to our two boys that were, because our other son arrived last night. And as I was heading up the stairs, I said, "Hey guys." And I said, "Hey, I love you." And they both like stopped. They looked right at me. "I love you, Mama. We'll see you in the morning." And it's just those touch points of becoming completely aware of the moment. When Liam arrived home last night, we did a group hug in the kitchen. It's whatever we can do to tether to those relationships. When friends send me notes, there's a beautiful friend on here who sends me a voicemail almost every single day. God bless you. And I stop everything I'm doing and I listen to every word. When someone sends me a text, when you send me, any of you send me messages, direct messages, I pause what I'm doing. It's a breath in my day. I read it. Just This is the next one. So my book, Just One Soulful Thing, talks a lot about this. Just this, just soaring with the moment. Todd and I both, we were walking yesterday. What did we say about the pineapple?
Oh, we both noticed it was ready. It was you buy the raw pineapple and we put it on the counter, and you're supposed to leave it there until it smells like it's sweet, and then you know it's ready to eat. And we both on the same morning had gone walked past it, been there for like a week, and noticed it was ready for. We both noticed it was ready to be eaten. So
I was talking about the present moment. And I said, I know what? I even stopped and I smelled the pineapple. And for me, this whole week, I've been stopping and like right behind me, these flowers right here. Our other son, our Liam and his girlfriend, gave me those flowers for Easter last weekend, and I've been cutting them every day to make sure they stay fresh. And I stop and I smell them 3 or 4 times a day. And the pineapple, I stopped and I smelled, and I was talking to Todd about it. And he goes, "I stopped and smelled that pineapple too this morning." So it's whatever fun ways. And I see Greta said, "I can't wait to hug my son. He's in New York in the army." Wow. Thank your son for his service. Wow. It's just I'm so glad. I hope that's soon. I hope that's soon, darling. And just so whatever just this is. So I've been stopping and I've actually, you'll see it popping up now because when I start the theme of something like presence, I'm now taking photos, I'm doing reels. I had a moment for about 20 minutes with a young eagle the other day, and I took the photo. I actually stood in presence and then I videotaped it. So if you want to tap that, it is on my feed on Substack, or if you want me to send it to you personally, let me know. But it was just so amazing. And Todd and I, we've been paying attention. These eagles show up every time Todd and I need a little burst to our business. Right from our first get go of building this business, an eagle sat with us for 3 hours one day, right in front of us. And since then, that those eagles are just attuned to our souls. They show up at the end of our pier all the time. I have 100 pictures of it, but I've been trying to pause, be in the moment, and then capture a little piece of it to extend it because I love photography and videography. And the last one is wild attunement. So I'm becoming attuned to my thoughts. So when I'm feeling challenged, when I'm working through something, I try to attune into what's happening in here. What's serving me? What is this emotion that I'm experiencing? Where is that coming from? I'm moving through menopause. For any of you women that are, with me in that, it's a whole shift of your hormones, and it's a beautiful shift, but it's a reemergence of who you are. And men go through it in different ways at that midlife element, or later in life. We move through different changes, and in our bodies, in our emotions, in our experiences. And so to pause in that present moment to say, what's really happening for me here? Can I handle this better? Do I need something? Do I need a cup of tea? Do I need a glass of wine? Do I need to go for a walk? Whatever that is, what would help me just either experience more joy or feel a sense of grounding and hope? That being said, I will just premise that with, I got a thing, and maybe you do too. I don't have a glass of wine if I'm sad. I only have wine if I'm happy. Todd and I talk about that. We talk about with our boys. Like, I might have one glass of wine if I'm feeling like a celebration or thing, but I really encourage you tea and wandering and meditation and finding someone you love to anchor to when you feel a little bit sad. None of these substances. We don't want to hide. We don't want to hide our feelings. We want to immerse ourselves in them. What a day. Anything else you want to share? I'm really trying. I was trying to keep it to 35, 40 minutes. It's impossible.
no, there's a bunch of inane stories in my head, but they're not relevant to what we're talking about. So we'll just move.
Anything else? I love you, darling. Anything else anyone wants to add? I love your little happy faces. Yes. And just thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing some time with us today in these beautiful, precious conversations around presence. Thank you for such a lovely check in. Thank you, Trish, for being here. I love that everybody shows up in whatever way they need to for however long. Just know that we're here and we're not going anywhere. We've got a whole roster of themes for the next up until 2027. We've already built it. And I'm just so grateful that you're on the journey with us. So there's lots of free. And then with our paid membership, that's the workshop at the end of the month. But if you haven't experienced it, we always do the first one complimentary. Please join us. We'd love to have you there. And if it resonates for you, it's, we have a paid subscription that's like 1888 Canadian a month, which we really wanted to make a price point that was accessible to everybody. If it's not accessible to you, please let us know. I never want anyone to miss out because you're in a state where you need a little love and support, because we've been there. We know what that feels like. All of us, we ebb and flow, but we just really want to build this community. Please share this. If you haven't subscribed and you've joined us for the first time today, please do. If it speaks to you, share it on. We want to just build these kind of conversations and these connections. We have a really exciting next few weeks coming up. Next Sunday is my friend and soul sister, Steffi Black. She was a global television in Canada. That's like a big, television network. She was a TV personality. She gave up that career. She moved into corporate kindness. She ran spread the kindness campaigns all across Ontario, Canada, and then she went even deeper, and now she became a qigong practitioner, and so she's going to be with us talking about presence, talking about qigong, living in the present moment next Sunday, and she's going to do a few little practices for us. You're going to love her. She's just a gorgeous soul. So please show up for that.
25,
Um,
25 years ago, when I was in Toronto, I would come home and I'd watch the news, and Steffi would be on doing the news. So she's quite a prominent presenter.
Yeah. And she's a really dynamo soul, but she's even more like just the deepening of watching her deepen as a person that's just immersed herself in years and years of qigong, becoming a qigong. I don't think she'd call herself a master, but she's a master of soul and presence, that's for sure. The week after that, that week, actually, the week of the 20th, we have the Soulful Way newsletter coming out. We're actually featuring a couple people that are on here in notes about presence, and they're in articles about presence. So we bring in other writers, other creators to share their writings, their living experiences of whatever theme we're working with. If you ever want to contribute an article, we have a bit of a wait list, but please reach out and let me know, because we have lots of beautiful themes coming up. And if you're a writer and you want to be a part of that and you want us to help you build your community on Substack, I'm just happy to do that. We're happy to do that for you. And the last Saturday of the month, on the 25th, we're doing the Soul of Presence workshop. If you want any more information, either keep an eye out or always reach out. I answer every message. Birds of a feather flocking together. Yes, we are. Loving all of you. It is, well, by the time we say goodbye, it'll be 11:33, and that's some kind of magical number for me. So I love all of you. Thank you for being here. Todd, do you want to say a quick goodbye, baby?
Quick goodbye.
Lots of love, everybody. Please stay in touch. Let us know how you are. We love your feedback. We love your sharing. I'm just grateful, grateful, grateful that you're here. LOL, Greta. Yeah, you're a resident comedian, my love. I love that. Mwah. 11:33. Wishing you all a day, a week, a life of presence. Until next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Bye, Minerva. Love you, honey. Bye, everybody.